everyone, it's Cass. Welcome back to my channel, What Cass Read. Today I'm going to bring you my spoiler-free review of Sorcery of Thorns, written by Margaret Rogerson. I am so excited to bring this review. It's been a very long time since I've done a review this year, and I just had to talk about this book, so let's get to it. Sorcery of Thorns follows a young girl named Elizabeth, who grew up as an orphan in one of the great libraries of Ostermere. What makes these libraries so special is they house the magical grimoires of the kingdom, and all of the grimoires are classed between 1 and 10, and the higher the number goes, the more dangerous the book is. As Elizabeth is growing up in the library with one of her friends, there's a sabotage plot that ends up taking over the grimoires and the magic in the library system, and it ends up pinning the blame on Elizabeth. There's nothing that she can do, there's nothing that she can say to clear her name, so she ends up having to leave one of the libraries in order to stand trial, and the events take off from there. So the first thing that I want to talk about is the world building in this book. So the first thing that we have within these books are these great libraries. This young girl, Elizabeth, grows up in the libraries, there's secret passageways in the libraries, there's book lice, and the thing that I loved the most about this is that the books were treated with respect because the books were alive as magical grimoires. I know that there's a couple other fantasy books that we've encountered where there are live books. I mean, Harry Potter, the Forbidden section being one of them, where one of the books screams at Harry as he's going through the library in the middle of the night. This book took that concept and ended up elevating it so much more. The reason why I say this is because the books themselves, the grimoires, are classified between class 1 all the way through class 10. Class 1 being very, very gentle grimoires and gentle books, and then class 10 being some of the most dangerous books in the kingdom, and they're all housed in one of the great libraries under lock and key. Anything above, like a class 8 or something like that, is kept under lock and key, and all of the libraries have a director and a system of wardens and this hierarchy of people who are tasked with taking care of the magical books that they house. The other interesting thing about this whole system of people who take care of these grimoires is they are completely against sorcery. They're completely against magic of any kind. You would think that they would be users of magic because of the library and because of the materials that they keep, but it is actually the complete opposite. I think as a book lover, like most of us are, this is going to be a setting that is really going to suck you in, intrigue you. When I posted this book on Instagram, there was one of my favorite quotes about treating books with respect because you don't really know what is in between their pages, and that's exactly how Elizabeth treats these books. Now, the interesting thing about the grimoires is that, like I said, they're classed 1 through 10, 10 being the most dangerous. When a grimoire is provoked, it can actually produce this demon-like creature called a malefict. How do we as non-magic users, as people who have an attachment to the library, how do we stop this sabotage plot? Because all of the great libraries are being stricken with this tragedy, and the directors of the libraries are in peril. There is also a political party that governs the country of Ostermere, and then there's also a magical party, like a magical political party, the Magisterium, which governs all of the sorcerers. So the sorcerers are held up on this really high pedestal within the kingdom because of the magic that they're able to use, but there is a governing body, and so it's really cool because there's two completely different parties at play, especially within Elizabeth's trial. She's supposed to stand trial for this sabotage plot. So next I want to talk about the characters. Of course, we have young Elizabeth Scrivener. She is our main character. She's about 16 to 17 years old. She was an orphan that was taken in by the library, and that's something that all of the libraries within Ostermere do, is they will take in foundlings, they will take in orphans, and train Elizabeth to be an apprentice librarian and an apprentice warden. So she finds herself as someone who has a really unique and special relationship with the books and relationship with the library. The other apprentices that she's friends with don't necessarily find that the grimoires act toward them the same way that they act toward Elizabeth. The other apprentices don't find that the library is as cooperative to them as it is as cooperative toward Elizabeth. That was something that I just absolutely loved. Again, it just evokes that just life-like library. They're not dead books, they're live books. And for us to have a main character that is so in tune with these live books, I just really enjoyed it. She's spunky, she's fun, she's got a mission ahead of her, and I really enjoyed her as a main character, as a young female protagonist. We also meet Nathaniel Thorne, who is a young magister. He's about 18, 19, 20 in this book, and he is probably the most eligible bachelor in the kingdom, but that's because he is one of the sorcerers. He is a magic user. He is the only surviving heir to his family's fortune and his family's magic, and the interesting thing about these sorcerers in this kingdom is that attached to the sorcerer is some type of demon who is pledged to the service of that particular magician, of that particular sorcerer, and that's where they draw their power from. Nathaniel is young, strapping, but he's got a damaged past, and he is a little bit of a mystery to Elizabeth, but they have to team up together to figure out what's going on with this sabotage plot. As a magister and as a part of the magisterium, he is one of the sorcerers within this government of sorcerers that reports to the Chancellor. The Chancellor is our main villain character, and he's a lot of fun to follow along. These different types of magic users are really fun to follow along, how they use the grimoires, how they use their demons for power, and that sort of thing. And then we follow Silas, who is Nathaniel Thorne's demon. I can say without a doubt that Silas is going to be probably the winner of my best favorite sidekick of the year of 2019. Silas is a little bit dark, a little bit you can feel there's something sinister boiling below the surface, but Elizabeth doesn't quite see a lot of his powers because he has to keep himself on a leash as he is pledged to Nathaniel's service. So it's a really cool dynamic where Silas and Nathaniel have a really great dynamic of two people who are bonded together, but then Silas and Elizabeth also have a little bit of a bond in terms of she being someone who is curious and trying to figure out what's going on, and Silas is only allowed to give so much information out without betraying his master's secrets. All in all, I gave this book 5 out of 5 stars. I did DNF an Enchantment of Ravens, but I didn't want to, and that's because I felt really drawn into Margaret Rogerson's writing style, and my complaint about an Enchantment of Ravens was that it was so short that I didn't feel like I got enough time to develop with these characters before the plot really took off. Sorcery of Thorns is a completely separate standalone. They're not related at all, but I feel like the kinds of things that I was missing out from in Enchantment of Ravens, Margaret Rogerson was able to fix those within A Sorcery of Thorns. This is 100 pages longer. I got a little bit more of that world building. I got a little bit more of that character development that I was hoping for, and I had a really, really good time. For this being a standalone young adult fantasy novel with the main plot about magical books, I mean, that speaks to me on so many levels, and I think it'll speak to a lot of you. So I just had a really great time with this. I think a lot of you will. I gave this 5 out of 5 stars. Whew, we did it. We made it through a review. It's been a while since I've reviewed, so I'm a little bit rusty, but shaking off the dust because there's a couple other books coming up that I would like to review. But go ahead, leave some comments in the comment section below. Let me know what you thought about A Sorcery of Thorns, or let me know if you plan on reading it. I know it's been one of these YA books that's been sweeping across BookTube this year, and for good reason. And again, I think with that magical book element, I think it attracts a lot of us as readers. Follow me along on my social media if you want to touch base with me there. I'm on Instagram and Twitter. It's at whatcassread, same as this channel, so it should be super easy to find. And of course, my Goodreads link is always going to be listed down below for you. Other than that, you know how these videos end. I'll talk to you later. Bye.
Taken away to the dark side. I'm in the